What if I told you you could be given a paycheck every single month without having to do anything except for fill out a piece of paperwork one time? You jump at the chance, wouldn't you? Now, for most people on welfare, this has become the same thing. This is what happens. Government-funded programs such as welfare have many standards, though some people, like me, believe that the standards they have are not enough. Now, see, I work almost full-time, and I'm also attending school and paying for my school and my bills. However, every paycheck I get, there's a certain amount of money that's taken out that's now substantial to help fund these government programs. I'm sure you all have looked at your paychecks and thought, what in the world, why is it so much, and what is it being really used for? So, while welfare is using our tax dollars, we have to wonder, what exactly do people who receive welfare do? Now, the standard is people on welfare are drug users. That's a typical stereotype that you see now. Now, welfare does have its problems, but I have two possible solutions to fix these problems. You see, society's thoughts towards welfare has changed. Dictionary.reference.com defines welfare as a financial or other assistance to an individual or family from a city, state, or national government. You see, for most people in the working class or middle class, every day is an uphill battle. They work really, really hard, and it doesn't seem right for so much of our money to be taken out for people who aren't willing to work. A.G. Sulzberger, senior editor for the New York Times, wrote an article called States Adding Drug Tests as Hurdle for Welfare. In this article, he quotes Ellen Brandom, a Republican state representative in Missouri, on her thoughts towards the money being pulled out of each person's paycheck to fund welfare. She says that working people today work very hard to make ends meet, and it doesn't seem fair to them that their tax dollars go to support illegal things. You see, working Americans have struggled, suffered, and eventually, hopefully later succeeded financially for their hard work, but yet now money's being taken out, even more so than before, to fund these programs. See, welfare was originally put into place as a transitionary program, a temporary program. The Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Fund program was created under the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunities Reconciliation Act of 1996. This fact is reported by Walker Newell in his article titled Tax Dollars Earmarked for Drugs, the Policy and Constitutionality of Drug Testing Welfare Recipients. He also reports the law was intended to change long-term federal public assistance into a temporary subsidy, thereby helping the poor to become self-reliant and reducing the number of individuals receiving funding. But now most people on welfare treat it as a dependence program instead of a temporary program. You see, some people now call welfare recipients lazy as sloths. They don't do anything and yet they still receive money. RocioDWoody.files.wordpress.com reports on this pie chart that 47% of recipients of welfare have been on welfare for more than 61 months. That's 5 years. More than 5 years these recipients have been on welfare. And yet there are families here locally that are needing help financially as well as nationwide, and they're taking that opportunity away from them. Now, my solutions for these problems are two things. One would be mandatory drug testing and inspection into funds that welfare recipients are spending from the government. See, Merriam-Webster defines inspection as a checking or testing of an individual against established standards. Now, we can set these established standards and know that nobody's completely perfect. Or is everyone completely perfect? No, they're not. But when applicants come in, we can hold them to a standard, and then when current recipients come in, we can also hold them to a standard. I believe we can use drug testing as a way to weed out those who are just looking for easy money. In the article titled, Drug Testing Welfare Recipients, False Positives, False Negatives, and Unanticipated Opportunities, author Harold Pollack from the Department of Health Management and Policy at the University of Michigan School of Public Health and his co-authors state that widespread testing might deter substance use among some parents who already receive cash assistance. Doing this would weed out those, like I said, who are looking for easy money, and then the money would actually go to families who really needed it. You see, people apply for jobs this day and age and often are required to undergo mandatory drug testing for their jobs. Why wouldn't we test people who are being given money instead of people who are actually working for their money? You see, my friend Tracy Baker is going to have to pay for a drug test in order for her to attend nursing school, which she is also paying for. So she has said that this is a problem as she's now having to pull more money out of pocket to pay for this funding, and yet people who are receiving money are not having to undergo any testing at all. University Services MRO and Toxicology Group in Pennsylvania state that in 2010, an estimated 22.6 million Americans aged 12 or older had used an illicit drug or abused a psychotherapeutic medication in the past month. This is up from 8.3% in 2002. Now, I believe these numbers have risen due to the fact that people are becoming more dependent on financial assistance from the government, so the money that they are actually making being employed is going to other things instead of the necessities. I also believe if we were to inspect lifestyle spending that these recipients are doing, we could then weed out those who are just taking advantage of welfare. Some people like to argue that these solutions, inspection and drug testing, are an invasion of privacy and a violation of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. However, Philippa M. Guthrie from the Indiana University School of Law reports in her article titled Drug Testing and Welfare, Taking the Drug War to Unconstitutional Limits, that since there is no clear constitutional provision on which to ground a right to welfare, it is theoretically a government benefit that can be conditioned or rescinded. We have the right to fix welfare, to adjust things to make it better work. www.city-data.com reports that $131.9 billion is spent on welfare annually. Now, I, as a working class or middle class person working to pay my way, I would want to know the amount of money that's being collected and spent from my paycheck. I would want to know that these people are actually spending it on the stuff that they need versus the stuff that they want. Let's find a standard, set the standard, and hold to this standard. Like I said, many people often question that the standards that the government has set for welfare recipients, but I believe through drug testing and inspections of lifestyle spending, welfare has the potential to become a good and helpful transition program once again. So think about your own life and the money that you spend and where you spend it. Are you spending it on things that you actually need, or are you spending it on things that you want? We as people of middle class working class working for our money can set an example for those who are not and are on government welfare. But now you have a choice. You can go home and forget everything I've just said, or you can completely disagree with me, or you can sign this petition that I've started in order to bring these solutions into action. As much as I would plead and beg you to do this, ultimately the choice is yours. So let me find a pen. If you want to, it's your choice.